Have you ever looked at someone and thought, I wish I could be like him? I wish I had the life he has. I did that for many years, until something happened that changed everything for me. And now, I want to share with you what I've learned. Because over the course of my life, I realized that the true key to happiness is a simple yet profound lesson. Don't compare yourself to anyone. I remember well when I was young and felt lost, always thinking something was missing. I would always look at others and see how they seemed to have it all. More money, more friends, more success. And I felt like it was never enough. One day, sitting alone on a park bench, reflecting on everything I didn't have, I met an elderly man who, unknowingly, gave me the lesson I needed. He said something that, at that moment, didn't make sense, but over time, I realized it was the key to the inner peace I had been searching for. The man looked at me with a calm smile and said, "Young man, life is not about being like others. When you try to be like someone else, you forget who you truly are. Every person has their own path. Compare yourself only to who you were yesterday." At that moment, I didn't fully understand, but those words stayed with me for many years. I spent the following years comparing myself to everyone around me. I wanted others' jobs, others' lives. And little by little, I realized that each time I compared myself to someone, I was losing focus on my own journey. I drifted away from who I truly was, trying to fit my life into a mold that wasn't mine. And that only brought me frustration, insecurity, and a constant sense that I would never be good enough. Then, in one of those conversations, another friend of mine, who had always admired me for my calmness and seeming simple life, said something that left me speechless. He turned to me with a serious look and said, "John, I wish I could be like you. You have something I've never been able to achieve, peace. I always feel lost, running after something I can never catch. But you seem so at peace with yourself. I feel like I'm always in competition with the world." I stood silent for a moment, reflecting on those words. He was talking about what I had for so long desired, the perfect life I thought he had. And the most interesting thing was that, as I looked at him, I thought his life was more fulfilled than mine. But hearing those words, I realized that he also carried his own struggles and frustrations, just like me. He was comparing himself to me, just as I did with others. And in that moment, I realized how hard it is for any of us to see the true reality of our lives, especially when we are so caught up in comparisons. The reality is that we all, in some way, are fighting against something, whether with the image we show the world or with the expectations we place on ourselves. He wanted to be like me, but I, in fact, wanted to be like him in several aspects of his life. That's when I understood how unfair comparisons are. Not just for ourselves, but also for others. Each of us carries a different world, with our own battles and victories, and comparison prevents us from seeing that clearly. Instead of looking at others with envy or admiration, we need to start looking at ourselves, understanding our own struggles, and celebrating our own achievements. Only then can we find true peace. In the meantime, I met Mary, the woman of my life. She entered my story gently, yet profoundly, and with her came two beautiful children, Theodore and Henry. It was when they were born that something shifted inside me. I finally understood that, to be happy, I didn't need to be anyone else but myself. I no longer needed to worry about what others had, or what I had not yet achieved. Because, at that moment, I had everything that truly mattered. The job I had was no longer the center of my life. It was just a means to an end, something necessary to take care of my family, to ensure their well-being and safety. The car I drove also lost the weight it once had in my mind. It wasn't the car of my dreams, but it was the car that took me where I wanted, that transported my family to the moments that really mattered. And our home, simple and cozy, was exactly what we needed to shelter our family and create the most precious memories of our journey together. At that moment, I became the happiest man in the world, not because I had material things, but because I had what was truly essential to me: a family, love, and the peace of knowing I was living according to my own values and desires. I had found happiness not in external comparisons, but in what I already had inside my home, in my heart, and in my day-to-day life. It was there, in that simple act of living for my family, that I realized that true wealth is not in what you have, but in what you already are. And more importantly, there is no comparison when you understand that the life you have is the only one that matters. Comparison with others loses its meaning when you start to value what truly makes your heart beat. And that's how, finally, I understood that the secret to happiness was exactly in stopping looking sideways and starting to look inward, to everything I had already achieved and everything I already was. Now, I want to hear from you. Comment below the phrase, "The only comparison that matters is with who I was yesterday." If this message resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more stories and reflections that can transform your life. Until next time, and remember, true happiness is living according to who you are, not who others are.